Good morning, everyone. We have people dialing in so quickly as soon as we open the gates. Welcome. I am Dimity Smith from GRO Events Group. Happy International Day of Rural Women. Welcome to Grit, our virtual morning tea for International Day of Rural Women, as I said. And we'll be featuring Rural Aid and also the amazing Catherine Marriott today. Now, whilst we wait for people to join in the session, what I'm going to do is just to kind of give them a little bit more time to join because it's only just 10:30. I am going to do a pop-up of some Zoom polls. So for those of you who might not have used Zoom before, what you'll notice on your screen is a little thing that will pop up, which I'm launching right now, which will ask the question, what is your drink of choice? If at the moment you haven't got it, I have my Nan's teacup here with some coffee in it. And look, we have got most people sitting on the coffee bandwagon right now, but it is slowly changing. We have got almost 75 people that have joined so far, almost a 50-50 split. So we'll keep that on for another moment because this is a great way to see what people are getting into right now. I'll leave that on for one more moment. Okay, it looks like coffee is definitely the winner and another tasty beverage. I'm wondering what that might be. So I'm going to just share those results. So there you go, definitely. Coffee is the winner today. So whilst we're waiting just for some more people to join, I'm going to ask another question. What is your biscuit of choice for morning tea? I'm really interested in this one. Kingston's, yes, for the win. Oh, wow. Okay, so anything with chocolate and Kingston are in a very big race right now. We have got, and we've got at least 120 people. Oh, sorry, 114. I'm clearly not reading properly, but getting close to that 120 mark. We've had 360 people register for today's event, which is just unheard of. And from Rural Aid and from GRO Events, we're really thrilled and proud to have you joining us today. So it looks like anything with chocolate looks like it's the win. Personally, I wish I had some scones here, but I normally leave that to my mum. She's so good with scones, but unfortunately I haven't got any of those today, but I'm sure I'll cook some over the weekend. So, okay, we've got a few there. I'll share that one. All right, so I'm going to say another tasty treat. I'm wondering what other people are having on theirs. So there you go. Now, one more question before we get started. Where are you dialing in from today? Now, this is really helpful for us to know. We want to see how many people are from all around Australia. We've got New South Wales, ACT, South Australia, Northern Territory, Queensland. Let's hope we can get some Tas and WA people, although they might only just be kind of getting ready for their day because it's a bit later. Oh, I've left off Victoria. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so sorry to the people of Victoria. Haven't you been through enough? I'm so sorry. So for all those people that are dialing in from Victoria, please pop in the chat that you're from Victoria because it would be lovely to know. Oh, you guys have copped enough this year without me forgetting you. I am so sorry. But all the Victorians that have joined, I am so grateful, and I should probably send you all a fruit basket because that's really, really mean. So I am so sorry, but I'm sorry, everyone in Victoria. Yes, fruit basket. Yeah, just you'll have to email me about that. I'll have to make sure that happens. But as you can see here, we've got a mixture, New South Wales, ACT, South Australia, WA, NT, Queensland, and Victoria. So thank you guys. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get started because we want to get stuck into things. But basically, welcome everyone. For those who've just joined us, good morning and welcome to the Grit virtual morning tea to celebrate the International Day of Rural Women. I am Dimity Smith from GRO Events Group, and I'm a rural woman based in Tamworth, New South Wales. I'm from a dairy farm in Scone. My parents are dairy farmers. I'm an engagement psychologist and the founder of rural events and marketing agency GRO Events Group. For those who haven't heard of GRO Events before, make sure you hop onto Instagram and follow us. We help corporates, not-for-profits and SMEs engage with rural women and agricultural audiences across Australia. So we deliver corporate events, marketing communications, and today is our favourite day of the year. Today on the call is myself, Dimity, Elizabeth, our communications and content coordinator, and Sam, our creative director and graphic designer. So today we're here to celebrate you. You're a rural woman, you persevere, you are patient, you work seriously hard, you juggle and handle it all with grit and grace. Welcome. We might also have some non-rural women or even some amazing men here to support the cause, and we welcome you all. Now, firstly, before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the various lands from which we all meet virtually today. I'm joining you from Kamilaroi land, and I would like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I would also like to extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples joining us on the webinar today. To share with you the plan for today, the first thing is, have you got your cup of tea? As I said, I've got my beautiful Nana's tea cup here that I love using. And shortly I'll introduce Lauren Stracey and Hardy Gray, and we'll hear from them and all about the amazing work that they do at Rural Aid. We'll then meet Catherine the Great, Catherine Marriott, our featured guest for the event today. We hope you enjoy this and really want to make this as interactive, interesting and fun as we can. Of course, we wish this was in person, but we're going to do the best job that we can. So before we hear from Catherine, for those who didn't know, we're going to be having lucky Zoom prizes. So we've got 4 amazing prizes, but if you stay on just before Catherine, we'll announce that. A special hello, I just wanted to make a shout out to a small group of hubs that we've got in Australia today. One in particular, we've got Burgess Murphy Insurance Group in Mungandai today on the Queensland-New South Wales border with a group of rural women. So hi to you all ladies, and welcome to everyone. And for those who are in groups together, thank you so much. Such a lovely way to celebrate today. Okay, so let's get started. What is grit? So the definition shared with us was actually from a male colleague of mine, our creative director, Sam, and he gave us the definition of grit being courage and resolve, strength of character. Now, I like to think that that sums up rural women pretty well, and it conjures up the images of digging one's heels in and getting stuck into it until the job gets done. The United Nations International Day of Rural Women, also known as Rural Women's Day, is an opportunity to celebrate, acknowledge and discuss the significant contribution that rural women make, not only in Australia, but throughout the world. According to the Department of Agriculture's ABARES figures, women comprise an estimated 32% of workers in agriculture, and that could potentially change just after we've done the census. So rural women in Australia bring in 75% of farm income. And a comment that I saw as well is that rural women do 13% more household work than other women in Australia. And a dairy farmer friend commented to me recently, she actually thought that stat was wrong, it should be 31%. So some pretty moving statistics, but we'll talk more about those through the webinar. Now, today's session has been created out of a wonderful partnership with Rural Aid, one that came off the back of a LinkedIn conversation with a new starter at Rural Aid, Hardy Gray, who you'll meet soon, with her manager, registered psychologist, Lauren Stracey. So let me introduce Lauren. So Lauren is a registered psychologist who has worked in the community sector for more than 20 years now. She expertly manages Rural Aid's growing team of mental wellbeing practitioners. She's passionate about working with people's strengths and harnessing those strengths to achieve personal and community growth. This has led her to work across the continuum of mental health, from health promotion through to treatment. And Lauren believes everyone has the right to be listened to and supported, no matter who they are or where they come from. Lauren says the health gap between city and country folk is unacceptable and is committed to her role in bridging the divide. Welcome, Lauren. Happy International Day of Rural Women.
Thank you so much, Dimity. We are so thrilled to be here and so grateful to all the hard work your team has put in the lead up to today's event.
Thank you so much. I know it's just been such a special opportunity and just so thrilled to be able to do this with you today. So now just, I guess, to get things started, but could you share with the audience, what is Rural Aid and what do you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So Rural Aid provides critical support to farmers and farming families in need. You might have heard about us a few years back where we started as BioBale in the middle of the drought. But it really became clear to us that farmers needed more than just hay. So we've broadened our scope of assistance measures and we've rebranded as Rural Aid. These days, we offer farmers more than just hay. We offer a range of supports that are tailored to their individual needs. We still receive requests for hay, but we also help with recovery from things like drought, flood, financial hardship, the mouse plague and bushfires.
Yeah, and I think we've just spoken about this on off camera before we started, that we're really thinking of people in Armidale today and those communities that have been affected by those tornadoes. So a tornado swept through Armidale last night. The damage looks pretty bad, but yeah, it's amazing that Rural Aid can offer that support. Can you talk us through the Rural Aid mental health and wellbeing program and what makes it different to other services?
Yeah, sure. We've just excitedly expanded our program and we now have 15 counsellors who are based all across Australia, with 10 of those in locations that Rural Aid hasn't previously had a counsellor before, including West and South Australia, which is just exciting. We're going to spend $3.75 million over the next 3 years to help address some of those gaps in regional healthcare. And Rural Aid's counsellors are trained to help their communities with a range of services. So we work with health promotion, community education, right through to working with individuals and families using counselling and evidence-based treatments. So our team, they're part of their communities and they manage an area of roughly 300 kilometres in each direction. So it's quite a huge amount of space that they're working across. And I guess the thing is that the reason that we're a little bit different from your average counselling service is that our team of counsellors, rather than being based in an office, they actually go out to the farmers themselves. So we really do understand the unique needs of rural people. So the way that we do it, our counsellors, and you'll hear more about this from Heidi, but we actually go out to people to see them on their properties. So for some people, that might be that we go for a walk and have a chat. We might sit around the kitchen table, or even sometimes going to town for a coffee. It's wherever the person feels most comfortable. We're working with their families as well as the farmers themselves. And we really understand that for farmers, an hour of travel each way, plus the time with the counsellor, could just be such a major barrier to accessing the healthcare that they deserve. We know that farmers will often put their farm well before their own health. So we're really trying to help bridge that gap. And
yeah. Sorry.
No, go for it.
No, I was just going to say it's just such a great program and it's wonderful to see, it's psychologist led. I'm a psychologist too, and I really support that evidence-based approach. So it's really fantastic what's happening with Rural Aid.
Yeah, it's great. And the thing is, if we don't have a counsellor near where you are, we can actually just give you a call or do it over video call, just like today. So we're trying to really make sure that we can help whoever needs support. We have two main streams in our mental health team as well. So we've got Stronger Futures and Disaster Assistance. And Stronger Futures is all about prevention and preparedness. So we're looking at supporting families and individuals and their communities as well with tools to be strong and well and support early if things go off track. And then our Disaster Assistance, which Heidi has been wildly calling farmers this morning already to try and help out with, is all about acknowledging the ongoing impact of climate change and the real impact that we're seeing for farmers themselves and their communities. So we want to provide education and resources before, during and after a natural event occurs, just like last night, so that people have what they need to recover and rebuild after a disaster hits, including the mental health support that so often is forgotten about in the midst of trying to get on the ground stuff happening.
Yeah, absolutely. It's commonly that, you know, you jump straight into fight or flight, and then it's the
Exactly.
aftermath of that really has that impact. So thank you so much for that, Lauren. It's such a great way for people to now know that people are in the community to support them through rural aid. I'm going to jump off now and introduce Heidi, who's going to jump on with you. So Heidi, if you want to turn your screen on, I'll duck off and then I'll jump back in after you guys are finished.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Heidi. So thanks so much, Dimity. It's really great to be able to be here. And so Heidi is our counsellor and community rep for the beautiful Northern Tablelands area in New South Wales. So Heidi, do you want us to start off by telling us a little bit about what a typical day as a rural aid counsellor looks like?
Yeah, thanks for that, Lauren and Dim. That's a great intro. Look, I'm obviously so grateful to work for Rural Aid. They've got a really awesome vision for regional communities in Australia. My day-to-day is, no days are the same. This morning we've sort of, as Lauren said, have been giving everyone a bit of a call since we had that Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz kind of strains issue last night in Arthur with the tornado. But yeah, you know, everyone's in good spirits, and you know, you just really see that resilience shining through from, you know, the farmers and people in the regional towns. With the counselling side of things, so when I first started, we sort of went into lockdown for a month, so I wasn't able to sort of go out onto the farms, unfortunately, and meet the farmers, but we do have that flexibility of doing the counselling over the phone or over Zoom. But it's just been so great the last couple of weeks to be able to get out and visit our farmers on their properties. When we sort of go out there, we'll do as Lauren said, like we'll sit around the table, have a cup of tea, and just have a conversation. Like the thing with counselling is, I think the most important thing is just having like a really great rapport, being able to just give someone a space where they can feel comfortable and safe, and, you know, have a conversation about something they might not even know that's bothering them. Farmers are very proud people. Like the other day I went for a drive with someone and they showed me their prized Brahman bull, and, you know, I don't even know if he wanted counselling. I think it was just more so to have that person visiting him, because he hasn't really been able to have anyone on his property because of COVID. So yeah, just, you know, building connections in the community. I grew up in regional New South Wales, so growing up out here, I guess I just never really realized how many people are out here and trying to, you know, bring awareness to like mental health and well-being in the country. And it's just so great to like meet with people on the daily in the community, like nurses and other counsellors and other organisations who all have the same vision. And yeah, you know, just doing events. Like on Wednesday, I went over to lovely Walker and we had a morning tea there and had a bit of a chat with the ladies who were all from some bushfire affected areas. And then, yeah, just I had a bit of a talk about what Rural Aid do as well. And yeah, you know, now that we're all allowed outside, so it's just good to be able to put together some events and get people out and about again, because it's just the last couple of years have just been so hectic, you know, natural disaster after natural disaster, now COVID, now tornadoes. And yeah, I think it's just important to be able to build that sense of community again with people. But yeah, a long-winded answer, but yeah, every day is different, but yeah, definitely wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, no, it's so great. It's really lovely. So I'd really love to hear from your perspective why you think it's so important for rural women to be celebrated.
Well, I'll bring a prop over. So this is my rural women's hat of all hats. You know, think of it what you will, but I guess the analogy behind it is women in rural areas, they don't just wear the one hat, you know, they don't just have the one job or, you know, have the same daily routine. Like, you know, they're the CEO, they're the farmer, they're the bus driver, they're, you know, everyone here. I'm sure if we put it in the chat, like you could throw out all of the thousands of ideas and you'd have a hat as big as Tasmania. Yeah, I think it's just important to really, you know, acknowledge that like in yourselves, and just realize like how much, you know, responsibility, like, and like it might seem overwhelming when you look at a big ridiculous hat, but it also, it's, you know, it's bold, it's strong, it's it really just shows the resilience that, you know, rural women go through every day, and the services that they provide within their own household, you know, in their communities, whether like as mothers and that sort of thing. So just being able to really, you know, sit back and appreciate and be proud of themselves, and take time to, you know, implement a bit of self-care here and there, because at the end of the day, you know, you have the only people that can really wear all of those hats are rural women, and you know, they wear them well. But it is good to be able to remember that, you know, sometimes you might need someone to stand under that hat with you, and, you know, so you don't get too big of a pain in the neck or something like that. So yeah, I think that, you know, I'm a visual person, that's how I look at stuff, but it's just important to recognize that there is so much that people do on the daily, like as rural women. And yeah, having access to, you know, women, we love to talk, and I think that's a great thing. You know, we will pick up the phone and call a friend, but there are days where we do think, oh, you know, maybe, you know, I don't know who to call, maybe if they don't want to talk to me, but and it's never the case. Like I had this conversation the other day with a couple of women, and you're just like, you know, if your friend ever gave you a call and said, you know, I just need to vent, or I need to talk to you, or I'm not doing okay, no one's ever going to turn around and say, oh, you know, I'm too busy, or I don't want to hear about it. So just leaning on your supports. And, you know, if you do think, oh, you know, I need to talk to someone who's not in my, you know, support circle today, call Rural Aid, you know, call one of the services that are out there now, because there are so many organizations coming together and recognizing the importance of not only rural women, but like rural communities, and you know, the bread and butter that they bring the country. So just another long-winded answer, but
no, it's so true. And it kind of takes me to this next idea around, you know, as rural women, how do you think that we can best encourage help seeking, you know, either within our own networks or within the broader community?
I think, like, I guess it's sort of the same sort of thing. You just knowing what services are out there and that sort of thing, and like educating yourself in a way, you know. It have obviously been so difficult the last couple of years, because there are all of these really cool organizations coming about and charities and ideas, but no one's been able to really do anything, because, you know, we'll go and plan these events to get together, and then COVID and this lockdown, and, you know, you don't get to catch up. And there is a lot of, I guess, distress that might be arising from, you know, the drought that happened a couple of years ago, or the bushfires, or all of those things that happened. And then all of a sudden, when we were given the opportunity to all come out and finally be together, we get shut down because of something that's, you know, a disease in a sense. So yeah, I think there's just that real I guess, it was like, sorry, I'm stopping. What I'm trying to say is that I think we weren't given that opportunity to sort of all come together once we all got through the drought and the fires. And then, you know, now I think it is time now that we have got all these really great organizations and people really wanting to help each other. So, you know, if you ever have an idea like, oh, you know, it'd be great to get this, you know, little community together for like just an Arvo barbecue, or, you know, a slip and slide or something in the park, like, you know, reach out to like different organizations like Rural Aid and, you know, like your local support service networks, because they want to get behind communities and they want to put these events on, because it's just so important to get that social you know, network and resilience back into communities, because at the end of the day, like, that's sort of something we really have missed out on. But now we have, as I said, we've got these resources now, and you may as well, you know, make the most of them.
Yeah, that's it. It's that human connection and that being together that's so important. And I think that's the thing that we've all been really missing and really craving. And I just saw in the chat that somebody said, you know, virtual hangouts are nice, but it's true that being able to be together is really important. And yeah, that's something that we're really trying to push in our team, is how do we support communities to do that? Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, Heidi. It's been lovely chatting, and it's really lovely to hear about all the great work that you're doing out there in far northern West New South Wales.
Yes, thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, ladies, so
thank
much.
You, Jimmy, and good luck, Catherine. I can't wait to hear you chat.
All right, thank you so much, ladies. So the time is here. We're about to hear from Catherine, but before we do, one thing, and stay on the screen, Catherine, stay on the screen because we're ready for you. We are just going to be announcing the winners of the Lucky Door prizes. So the first one that we have is Annabelle Coffin. So Annabelle, sorry, you have won, woohoo, Annabelle, you have won the Lux and Humble prize, $300 voucher for beautiful handmade cushions from the amazingly talented Claire from Mung and Dye. Claire is an incredible interior stylist and sources the most beautiful bespoke homewares, and she's also a beautiful friend of mine. So, and hi to Claire who'll be watching, and congratulations, Annabelle. The second prize is Elle Rands. So Elle, you have won the prize of the Wattle Eye gift box. So Joe from Wattle Eye Gift has donated a beautiful gift box made of gifts created from rural women in outback Australia worth over $100. So for those who haven't seen it, Wattle Eye Gift is an Australian gift box company that celebrates and supports the makers, creators and growers of outback Australia. So make sure you follow them. Now, third prize, Sarah Hunter. So I think Sarah's from Rural Aid. So Sarah, you have won the Burgess Murphy Insurance Group prize. So Burgess Murphy Insurance Group is from Moree, an incredible insurance advocate supporting rural, regional and commercial businesses with all their insurance needs. And Sam, the female founder, has kindly donated a gift of $500 towards an insurance product of your choice, which is amazing. And then the fourth prize is an Act for Our Gift, donated by South Australia's Rural Women's Award winner, Stephanie Schmidt, and she's kindly given a 45-minute personal grit coaching session for an Act for Ag toolkit and a 3-month subscription worth $317, and that is going to Tamara Harris. So Tamara, congratulations. I hope you love this. And this is a pretty amazing prize. So congratulations, ladies. We'll give you our details to email us after the event, but now it is time to meet the one and only Catherine Marriott. So I met Catherine when I worked at the DPI Rural Women's Network, and I really did fangirl for quite some time before I got to speak with her. Her bouncy attitude, her positivity, her laugh, they're all parts of Catherine that make her such an inspiring person to be around. For those who haven't met her, she's the CEO of Riverine Plains, University of New England's 2019 Distinguished Alumni Award winner, and a graduate of the Australian Rural Leadership Program and the 2012 WA Rural Women of the Year. Welcome, Maz.
Thanks, Dim. It's lovely to be with you all. What a cracking show up for International Day of Rural Women.
I know, it's amazing. We've had 180 people on here. It's absolutely amazing. And I've just seen a post. Elizabeth, could you pop in the chat for us the prizes and the prize winners, and also the links to their Instagram? That would be amazing, so everyone can jump on and celebrate them. So Maz, welcome and thank you so much. Now, to get things started and kick things off, can you share with our audience a little bit about where you're based right now and what happens in your role as CEO of Riverine Plains?
Sure. So I'm based in Yarrawonga in the not so sunny Riverina today. So coming to you live from Bungarang country, which is part of the Yorta Yorta Nation that runs along the Murray River, the mighty Murray River. And obviously, as Dim said, I'm running a farming systems group called Riverine Plains. So we are a member-based not-for-profit that runs and services farmers from Wagga all the way through to Nagambie. So it's pretty exciting. We're a cross-jurisdictional group, which gives us a lot of opportunities. And yeah, loving it. So I guess at the moment, my day-to-day life is around developing an awesome team, which I'm so proud of, and working with a fantastic board to revolutionise the farming systems group model in Australia. So I've got our work cut out for us, but I'm up for a challenge. So yeah, I guess looking to change the business model to be more self-reliant and diversified in what we deliver. So we have a DGR status that we are wanting to utilise a little bit more to do some more locally valued research, developing a more valued partnership model so that value flows both ways, and developing a diverse and high value membership benefit, as well as running some belter high impact events. So keep an eye out for February for the RP Innovation Expo running from the 9th to the 11th. cheeky little plug there.
Amazing. I love a good plug. Good job. Okay, so yeah, you've got your work cut out for you, but if anyone's going to do it, I know you're going to do it. Now, where did you grow up and what was that like?
Oh gosh, I grew up in the bush, which is just, I mean, what a gift, honestly, to be able to grow up in rural Australia. I grew up on a farm between Benalla and Shepparton in northeast Victoria, and I'm still growing up. So I've grown up all over the world. I've been lucky to live in some incredible places. But yeah, my early life started growing up on a farm with my beautiful mum and my younger, I'm not sure if she's online, shorter sister, had to get that in publicly, and my two scrumptious brothers. We sadly lost Dad to cancer when he was 40 years old. So that's how old I am now. And it's quite confronting reaching the age that that your parent was when he passed away. But I share that with you because I think that was the first time, I didn't realise at the time, but that I was lucky enough to witness grit and witness resilience, because Mum could have just packed up the kids and moved into town. It may have been easier. I'm not sure whether she chose not to do that for her sanity or ours. Running 4 little kids in town could have been a disaster for her. But it was, yeah, I mean, it was amazing. We worked together as a team from a very young age. We didn't know any different. So we all chipped in and helped, whether or not it was shearing or crutching or foot bathing or mustering or chipping burrs. And we all fought over that job because Mum allowed us to drive, which involved taking your foot slowly off the clutch. We weren't allowed to touch the accelerator though. Yeah. Charlie would get really angry. So I guess my only sad face about growing up is that I grew up on a sheep farm, not a cattle station.
It all works. It all works.
It does indeed.
So the word grit, you just mentioned that, obviously a pretty pivotal part in your life that you missed that. And that's why we, named this event Grit, because it's something that rural women we tend to see, across the board. What does that mean to you? What does grit mean to you?
So I've thought long and hard about this, Dim, because, the word resilience is kind of like sustainable or reimagining, or, it's one of those
bouncing back, bouncing forward.
Oh, pivot. Yeah. Let's all pivot.
Pivot.
You're on mute. No. Okay. So, and to me, grit is really about controlling the controllable in an uncontrolled environment. Mm-hmm. So when things are unfolding around you that you can't control, for me, the biggest thing has been around controlling my reaction to things. There's a lot of things in the world that you can't control, but being able to control the controllable when there's a whole heap of uncontrollable things going on around you, I think is the definition of grit. And, the world as we know it has changed recently on a global scale, and it will never be like it was. And so the context with controlling the controllable is, it could be COVID, it could be Afghanistan, it could be politics, it could be flooding, drought, endometriosis, stress at work, stress with the kids, stress with the business.
Tornadoes in Armidale,
bushfires, and so I always say to myself, well, what can I control and how do I choose to show up in the world? And to me, that's grit. There's always an excuse not to continue, not to show up, not to help out, not to get involved, but to continue to show up and to continue to be counted even when it's tough and you doubt yourself. Yeah. To me, that's grit. And I think that rural women are the most extraordinary demonstrations of grit, because Mother Nature throws all sorts of things at us, and rural women continue to get up. They show up day after day, and I'm particularly in awe of rural women in things like farming women, in things like drought, where there's no end point. And it was really interesting. I spent I actually moved to Tumbarumba 12 days before the big bushfires hit, so timing. But my experience there was amazing, because I got to hear from an incredible psychologist called Rob Gordon, and he spoke about the difference between a hard and fast trauma and a longer, more drawn out trauma where there's no end point. And so to me, grit is being able to manage both by controlling your reaction to things. And something else that I think is really important for rural women is that we often wait to enjoy life or give things back to ourselves when things are sorted. So when I lose weight, when COVID ends, when my kids grow up, when I get that surgery, when the weekend comes around. But in order to have true grit, you cannot fill someone else's cup if your cup is empty yourself. So I think a big part of grit, not only is in controlling the controllable, but it's also in making sure that you have a full cup, which is something I'm shocking at and I'm learning, and I'm loving working with.
I want you to play this back to yourself next week, okay?
I know, seriously, I'm like, oh, yeah. But anyway, so the full cup piece, I think, is another huge bit of having grit and being able to be gritty and solid.
Your definition of grit, is so true. And I think that exact picture of during drought is exactly what people picture when you think of women, rural women, and the grit concept. And the next question, I guess, you've been through some really tough times. You spoke about the bushfires and other things where you've been thrust into the spotlight without your approval. What have been some of the most challenging experiences you've got through, and what did you learn from them?
Yeah, look, I mean, I guess I'm no different. I think everybody's been through tough times in their life. I had a particularly tough time a little while ago where I was thrust into the public against my will. It was interesting. Anyway, I think back about that a lot, and I think it's really important to always stand up for what you believe in. And sometimes that will take time to find the courage. My experience, which I'm assuming you're referring to, is the sexual assault and the harassment allegations that I went through and dealt with. And it's particularly interesting beast because most women freeze. And then following that, they pretend nothing happened. And I don't know why they do this. I did it for a while. And it's really common, and it's therefore very hard to go back and prove that something happened because you have outwardly pretended it was all okay. And it's common with men and women who are the victims of assault or bullying or domestic violence. You sort of make light of the situation, pretend it didn't happen, and move on. For me, the step that is important, I got sick of carrying the guilt around with me. And that guilt was just getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And I think there's always a trigger. So for me, there was a few things that happened. One is the beautiful 14-year-old girl who took her own life, unfortunately, Dolly Everett. She left the world with some really powerful words, which was speak even if your voice shakes. And to me, I was sitting there as a 38-year-old woman, petrified of saying something. And those words were just so wise. There was another friend, Erin Gorder, who said to me, Maz, the standard you walk past is the standard you accept. You know it's happening to others. Will you sleep at night if you don't say something and it's still happening in 5 years? And I was like, you mole, don't do that to me. Because she knows
right to the heart.
I know. I was like, oh. And then another one of my really good friends, Sue Middleton, she said, Maz, if you choose to say something, I will stand beside you and I will not let you do this alone.
Wow.
And then the other thing was that I knew that it had happened to others. And I thought someone has to say something to stop this happening. And I'm someone. And so, I chose to put in a confidential complaint. People say to me, why didn't you go to the police? Well, less than 1% of cases end in favour of the victim. That's less than 1%.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me they're all making it up. And I wanted to change the system. So going to the police would have tied me up for 3 years plus in court cases, a massive amount of money, and it wouldn't have yielded any change for anyone else. It wouldn't have forced the New South Wales National Party to develop a complaints handling process, a code of conduct, a harassment and discrimination policy, all of which I worked behind the scenes with them on developing. There's still a lot of work to do there within the New South Wales Nats, but they've made some really good headway, which they wouldn't have done if I went to the police. And there still remains in that party some really good people that are determined to clean up politics, but that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, I feel like we can have another event if you want to. I feel like there'll be a lot of people that'll dial in for that.
No, yeah. So I mean, it was traumatic. My case was adjudicated by their own party. At no stage did they get external assistance or bring in a professional mediator. 2 of the 3 people that adjudicated my case were his close friends. And the other one is a gem of a woman, and I will be forever grateful for her courage, her gumption, and just her class. Yeah. So despite having 2 of his good friends on the paddle, they found me to be believable, authentic, and credible, although they couldn't find an outcome. But I think the thing that I've learnt from that experience is that it's really important, the power of friends. there's some things you can't handle on your own, and it's okay and necessary to ask for help. Gratitude is the path forward. It sounds really kitsch. No, I don't know. Whatever the word is, like wanky.
Naff?
Yeah, naff. Naff's probably more polite than wanky.
Yeah.
But to just be grateful, I think, you know, there's so much in this world to be grateful for. And if you're focusing on the negative all the time, it'll kill you.
Yeah.
So find things to be grateful for. And another big piece that I'm really grateful for is that I don't fear anything external too much anymore. What I mean by that is the context. People can do things to me. It doesn't bother me at all anymore. I think when your biggest fear comes true, which is what happened, like it happened to me time and time again through that whole process. They leaked my name. People knew who I was. Andrew Bolt did this thing on the Andrew Bolt show that basically belittled me to the point where he was saying, what did he even do? Why won't she talk about it? You know, did he flutter his eyelids or did he rape her? And I was like, oh my God, it's real. Like, this is happening to me. My biggest fear, which is what people are saying. And there it is. It's on TV and people are saying awful things. And I just let go of needing to control that. I was like, I can't control what people are going to say about me. And I'm no longer frightened of it. I went down into the depths of awfulness. And I'm trying really hard to figure out a way that I can help other people reach that point where you're no longer frightened of what people think of you without having to go through the trauma. So, I mean, and time does heal. I think that that's another really important thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, what you've just summed up, like obviously it's finding that balance between being able to work on the issue without it impacting on you further and digging everything back up again. So I think everyone will watch closely to see what happens with that. So thank you so much for sharing such a candid experience with the viewers today. The next question, and we're going to pick things back up again and go on to a brighter subject. In 2012, you were announced as AgriFutures Australia Rural Women's Award winner for WA. What was that experience like, and what did you do, or what can you share about what you did to get that award?
Oh, I find these sorts of questions so interesting, Dim, because winning something has never been of interest to me.
Yeah.
What is really important to me and what continues to be really important to me is investing in people. And AgriFutures specifically has invested an awful lot in me, and I will be forever grateful for that. And as a result, I'll continue to give back. I not only went through the Rural Women's Award, which I'll talk about in a moment, but they also sponsored my Australian Rural Leadership Program.
Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't know that. Right.
Yeah, and that program is life-changing. Anything to do with the Australian Rural Leadership Foundation, big plug. Just go and do something with them. They're amazing. They're an incredible group of people. They're changing rural Australia. So AgriFutures and ARLP, massive, massive shout out. To me, the award was not, for me, it wasn't about winning. It was actually about being given a $10,000 bursary to deliver a project in rural and regional Australia that was going to make a difference, particularly to women. So my bursary was, I applied for it after the live export suspension. And I realised that there was a whole heap of women in our industry that weren't being present. So when that all blew up, it was all, no disrespect here, we all love a middle-aged man, but they were aggressive, defensive, you know, and I can understand why. I mean, it was awful what happened to that industry. But I was left thinking, where are the women? I know so many incredible, smart, confident, articulate women, but why aren't they standing up? So I ran a 3-day workshop up in Broome, which was awesome. Ended up getting 55 women and 4 men. Gosh, love them.
Wow.
Yeah, and we spent 3 days learning how to communicate, how to build trust through language, how to build confidence so that we can stand beside our men as equals and put the more representative face of the industry forward. So I would highly encourage anyone have a crack at that award. It's the most incredible opportunity. The networks that I've got from it have been extraordinary. The lessons, it's just, I think anything that you can do to invest in yourself with generosity of people like AgriFutures, grab it with both hands, because you don't know what you don't know. And I learned so much about myself in those through those experiences.
Yeah, well, we've actually just had a comment from Joe Palmer, who's a finalist from last year. And everyone, if you haven't registered this week, so next week on Wednesday is the announcement for the AgriFutures Rural Woman of the Year Award. It'll be such a great opportunity. So make sure you hop onto AgriFutures and register so you can attend virtually this year. So there's, it sounds like there's so many great opportunities. And I think that's something today. It's not about saying what's not there. It's actually really celebrating and sharing the message about the opportunities that are available, because they're growing and growing, and ARLP and AgriFutures are really leading the way in what happens with that. So we're very lucky. Now, the next question that I will jump to, and I'm just going to skip this one, but this is a pretty important one that we've spoken about, but you're an incredible advocate for women who speak up and talk about things that mean a lot to them. Earlier this year, you opened up about your experience with endometriosis. You did a post about it, which is not, it's something that you would normally have spoken about, but you were really amazing and open. What was the response from the community, and especially with something that affects women, and it's such a really sensitive topic and pretty personal?
Yeah, thanks, Dim. Look, that endo experience, I'll just frame it for everybody. Endo impacts 1 in 10 women, endometriosis, which I had no idea about. And last year, for the first time ever, the federal government invested $9.5 million into 5 research projects to try and better manage, diagnose and treat endometriosis. Because for those of you that don't know, endometriosis is a disease that can only be diagnosed or treated currently through surgery, which is pretty dramatic. So if you put that into perspective, $9.5 million out of an $81.8 billion federal health budget is a total of 0.01% of the total budget. So for 1 in 10 women, or 1 in 20 people in Australia that suffer endo, it's fair to say that we have a little bit of work to do. So I guess my journey with endo was interesting because I've suffered period pain. Oh, there's that word, you can't talk about that. Since I was about 14, 13, whenever I got it, I can't remember. But it's been like finding out how crook it was has been a real relief to me, because I'd spent most of my life thinking that I was a complete pussy, and doctor after doctor after doctor just told me it was normal and put me on the pill. And I ended up thinking that all women suffer like I do. I was just pathetic because everyone else seemed to be getting along fine, and it was getting worse. So I was getting horrific pain through my abdomen at really random times. I was knocked out for 3 days with pain every month, and still thought that there was nothing wrong with me. And the only reason that I went to finally get help with someone else again was that I was speaking to this beautiful friend of mine, Mary Hoodless, who's from Gingellic, and she's a belter of a woman. And she said that her daughter had been to see a really good gyno in Wodonga. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I still left it because I just lost faith and thought I've been and seen, and I don't want another person telling me there's nothing wrong with me, because it just smashed my confidence. And then Mum said to me, Missy, would you like to meet a fella one day and fall in love? And I said, Mum, I would love to. But for me, finding love is really complicated because the physical pain that I experienced during intimacy is just awkward. And so I didn't really look to find love because I couldn't be bothered having that awkward situation and conversation. So it was really isolating for me. And I'm sharing this because I'm sure there's people in this audience, and if not in this audience, the people that might know somebody. And it was that conversation when I finally went to see Dr. Hung Chow. It was sort of normal. And then I said, look, it's really painful and complicated when I'm trying to be intimate with someone. And she said, rightio, up on the table, did a few things, and then said, I'm going to do surgery with you in 3 weeks. And I was like, oh. And so the conversation changed straight away when I said that. And God, it's relieving talking to professionals where you don't have to be embarrassed about this sort of stuff. Like I can't see everyone's face, and I'm like, no. This is,
and people are responding, and I mean, I'm allied health, and I just think that this message and talking about this stuff is just, it needs to happen. It has to happen.
And that's why I spoke up, because so I went in to have surgery 3 weeks later with Dr. Hung, and she whipped out my left ovary, like cut me open, had a look, whipped out my left ovary, stitched me up and sent me down to Melbourne, said, I can't deal with you, you're a mess. And I was like, oh, righto, ripper. So I went down to Melbourne a couple of
love when you say, oh, ripper.
Oh, well, I mean, anyway, at this stage I was just like, Roger. Anyway, so then I went down to Melbourne and had another surgery, and it was a little bit more dramatic. So I lost my uterus, fallopian tube, cervix. I had a bowel resection, so a section taken out of my bowel, removed lesions that were growing through my intestine. I had a chunk taken out of the side of my rectum, and I had endometriosis scraped from my liver off all body parts down. So Dr. Claire Myers did that surgery, and I am so grateful. She was amazing. And I had Dr. Chin Chow, who was my bowel surgeon. So I had two of them, and I had Joe Mazza Tester as my anaesthetist. And I was like, don't be testing on Mazza now. You might want to know what you're doing, Mazza Tester. Anyway, so that was interesting. But I didn't know that endometriosis could grow outside your uterus. I didn't know that you can't see endometriosis on a normal scan. I didn't know how common it was, and I didn't know how much it could destroy a woman's body and life through destroying her confidence. So the reason that I shared my story is, again, I guess going back to the Barnaby thing, is somebody has to start talking about this. And I was like, well, I'm somebody. And oh God, I agonized over whether or not to do those videos. And ultimately I was like, well, I'm going through this. So if I can help one person, and the feedback, Dim, has been extraordinary. I have been in really fancy pants, high level executive board meetings, and blokes have come up and gone, your video changed my daughter's life. And I'm like,
oh, goosebumps.
I did not expect that from like this big, serious human that's doing amazing, you know, like, so you never know the impact that you have on somebody by sharing your story and by being a little bit vulnerable. That's how we're going to change the world. It's conversations.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. And the comments are coming through thick and fast. You'll have to have a look through those when we wrap up. I know you can't
read them.
Can't do it both right now. So obviously we partnered with Rural Aid for this event because of their incredible work with rural communities. You saw some pretty harrowing scenes when you were working for DPI in the bushfires. How did you process that event, and what do you think was key to getting a rural community to work together through such a tough time?
Yeah, look, like I said, I moved to Tumba 12 days before the horrific fires hit, and I actually had a housewarming on New Year's, which is when the fires hit, so it was the hottest party I've ever had. Jokes aside, the fire that night moved 73 kilometres. It was terrifying. And I guess I come back to controlling the controllable in an uncontrolled environment. There is no way anybody could have stopped that fire. It was, I mean, like, forget politics and what we could have done beforehand and all the rest of it. I'm not going there. But I think the thing that really made the difference, and in the community that I lived on, was the little people. And when I say that, I don't mean that in a condescending way. I mean the ordinary people that don't have a position, don't have a title, but just get on and get it done. So I think, you know, there's a lot of large, important government organisations that do amazing work. You know, DPI was running an amazing program. The local councils had an amazing program, Resilience New South Wales. I know that Victoria had them as well. Like, they were all over the place. But the paid staff don't have the connection and the cut through that the little people or the normal people and the charities do, because they are, the volunteers and the charities, they're not paid reasonably to care. They just do care. So for me, the individuals in that community, they're the ones that turn fear into hope. And it was people like Louise Hulsey, who is the most incredible woman who lives with a little dog, raised $208,000 through a little charity that she set up to give everyone that had been burnt out and applied a $500 food voucher, because people had lost everything. There was Christine Cameron, who was my neighbour in Tumbarumba, and she spent 3 months driving up and down roads that she couldn't get through, cutting wood off to try and just see if anyone needed a hamper or something to just get, because people just lost everything. Nigel Grant and Melissa Merlin. Nigel spent weeks on his dozer, volunteering, cutting lines, protecting people's property. Melissa worked tirelessly cleaning the fire brigade's uniforms every night and cooking for them. I don't think that woman slept. And then she set up, she's a real estate agent in Tumba, and she set up a refuge shed for people, and then put this call out and got like an entire floor from the Novotel in Sydney that had some water damaged furniture, and was able to store all of this stuff. Now, none of those people have a title. Deirdre Greenholt was incredible. She's a farmer in the Orkney Valley, and they lost their shed, their hall in the valley. There's 60 people that live in that valley, and she was determined to get that hall rebuilt. And everyone said to her, "Oh, Deirdre, you're wasting your time. It's not going to happen. You know, there's only 60 of us. The government don't care. They're not going to." Anyway, she ended up fighting and pushing and writing grants, and she got that thing funded twice.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's those sorts of people, and I think rural aid were a huge part of this because they're unassuming, they're just there. And I think in times of trauma, you can't come in with all these questions, how can I help? You've just got to get busy helping. And I remember meeting Glenda down on the corner of, like, just near the Tooma fire shed, and I recognised the branding on her car, and she was parked trying to find something, I don't really know, and I pulled over and I stopped and I was like, "Hi, rural aid, holy cow, here's all these people that you need to go and see, here's the directions," and off she trotted and helped them all out. But rural aid came unassuming and were just there, and they helped. The help of rural aid, as well as Blaze Aid. Blaze Aid was another incredible charity that just came and were just present and contributed. You couldn't quantify the not the economic, but the social contribution that they made. Economic as well, of course, because feeding livestock and doing fencing and all that costs money. But yeah, it was extraordinary.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I got emotional just then when you were talking about that. But I think the work they do is just incredible. And I think as continually we see climate changing more and more, they're going to have a need in communities moving forward. So it's wonderful now that they can be on a national scale. Also, too, I just want to say hello, Michael Crawford, as a male.
Hi, Michael.
Great to be here, hearing these conversations and reading the comments. All power to everyone here. It is so great. And this is the thing about today. It is not about us being negative about this man versus women thing. This is just about celebrating women. We are grateful for the men that support us in everything that we do. So I want to make that really clear. We are supportive of everyone. This is just a lovely day to celebrate. Maz, I just want to ask one question or two questions before we wrap up at 11:30. At GRO, we're big supporters, particularly in ensuring everyone's well supported, celebrated and connected. Do you have someone that you look up to and work with as a mentor, and why do you look up to them?
Oh, I've got so many, Tim. I've got professional, personal and organisational. Organisation, to me, the biggest thing with a mentor is that they have your best interests at heart. And that's clear. So I have organisational people or organisations like AgriFutures and the ARLF that have been mentors to me. I've got professional help from the most incredible woman I've just met, Jackie Lewis from the Broad Place. She has made meditation doable for me, like, you know, banana brain, butterfly, 10 ideas before breakfast. And she's got me meditating twice a day because she explains the neuroscience behind it, and it is extraordinary. So if anyone's interested, I'm super happy to chat. And then we've got, like, I've got so many personal, and I've written down a list of so many, but I'll summarise because I know we're short of time. Men and women have all played an extraordinary role in helping shape the person that I have become, and I will forever be grateful for mentors, because we are all a product of the people that we surround ourselves with, and I'm very lucky to be surrounded by some absolute belters.
Yeah, absolutely agree. You're one for me. And my friend Michelle, who I used to have Savvy Birds with, she's on the call today. And it's so good knowing that we have so much support. And there are more of these women coming out of the woodworks, which is so good to see. Yeah. And last question, everyone wants to know, what is coming up next? What will Catherine the Great do next?
I could slap you if I could reach you for calling me Catherine the Great.
Isn't it awesome? I thought that was so good. I was like, oh, I'm going to throw this in there today. So good.
Grab your little cheeks and squish them. So I'm determined to get Riverine Plains as an organisation to be the best, strongest, most highly valued, prosperous farming systems group in Australia. And apart from that, just continue contributing to rural Australia, making a difference to the people, sharing in the joy that people have living here. And contributing to anything that I can, really.
Amazing. And today we're going to ask everyone who is attending today, to put in the chat 3 words how you would describe yourself today. Maz, what 3 words would you use to describe yourself?
grateful, energised and loved.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much, Catherine, for such an amazing, inspirational, positive, wonderful. I could go on with so many words to describe you, but appreciate your time so much. And I've just had a question. Will this be available to listen to later? Yes, this is going to be recorded. So I will send a link out later on this afternoon so that everyone can then watch again, share with friends. I feel like there'll be some people that'll be really happy to watch this later. So thank you, Maz, so much for your time. And now for the others, if you'd like to join on the camera so we can wrap up and say goodbye to everyone. Lauren and Heidi and Elizabeth, feel free to jump on as well. So I just want to say again, thank you to Rural Aid for partnering with GRO Events Group. We're relatively new, only the last 2 years GRO Events Group has been kind of rolling on. Only in the last 6 months have we really taken off on things. So really grateful for jumping on. Thank you to everyone who signed up. And yeah, we hope if you go to our GRO Events Group page, you'll see a social media post we did today, which says, I'm a rural woman, what's your superpower? Please share that to your story. It's just a really fun way to get people following, and it's got both GRO and Rural Aid on it. So I think it's yeah, just something to be shared. Any final messages from everyone on the panel? No? You're all good? Wonderful.
It's such a great event. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful hearing your story, Catherine.
No worries.
So good. All right. Well, look, my mum will be so proud. Bang on 11:30. We're on time. She always tells me I'm running late, but no, we have smashed this one. Bang on 11:30. Ladies, have an amazing day. Thank you so much for being part of this, and happy International Day of Rural Women. Bye.
Thanks so much.
See you. Thanks, everybody.